Lesson 2, the pre-story phase. The first day of class is a very important day. It sets the norms for the class. And so with that in mind, I want to use lots of high-frequency vocabulary. I want to use, if I'm teaching Spanish, I want to use soy, eres, es. If you're teaching French, you might want to use je suis, tu es, that sort of thing. High-frequency vocabulary, and I always start with the verb to be because I want to introduce myself to students and I want to do so in the language. I use this first day of class to teach the rules of the game, and the game for me is just simply having conversation in the language. And I have a very specific set of rules that I follow. It's very simple. I tell them I'm going to ask lots of questions. I tell them that they have to answer me in Spanish because it's a Spanish class. So they have to answer me sí, no, or whatever the answer may be. Another simple rule is that we're going to be 100% in the target language. There is a slideshow of these rules in English and Spanish in our lesson, in the pre-story phase lesson on CI Immersion, the Beginning Storyteller. So if you're looking for that, it's there. You can download it and see the rules of the game that I use. After explaining the rules of the game, we go into a demo. And this demo is going to use that high-frequency vocabulary, the soy, eres, es, and I'm going to do lots of repetition on myself. I say, soy profesor. I am a professor. I am a father. I am Andrew. I am whatever I can think of. And I demonstrate how it is that we're going to use these orbiting questions to get lots of repetitions and communicate lots of messages in the target language. After this demo, it's brief, I would say maybe 10 minutes or so, we move on to attendance. And attendance is super easy. You just take attendance, call who's there, ask them what their preferred name is, and you're off and running. After attendance, we look at the syllabus. And so we have gone from an introduction in the language, quickly taking attendance, to moving on to the syllabus and explaining the syllabus for the rest of the day. I usually explain the syllabus in English because that is the native language of most of my students, and I think it's worthwhile to do so. It minimizes confusion. And after the demo, the 10 minutes or so in the language, their brain is already firing on all cylinders, and this is a nice break for them. They've seen what class is going to be like, and now they have information about how the course will be graded. They have information about how to get in contact with me, just the administrative things that need to be taken care of on the first day of class. Now, days 2 through 5, if you're teaching every day, are also essential, and we want to go back into the language immediately. I have a target of 100% target language in my class. I know some people say, well, ACTFL standards say 90% is fine. My target is 100% in the target language from starting on day 2. Day 1, we have the syllabus, and I want that to be understandable for them. I could do it all in Spanish and have them, because it's written in English, so they could just read it. But day 2 through 5, target is 100% Spanish. On day 2, we review our high-frequency vocabulary from day 1, the soy, eres, es, I am, you are, he is, she is, you are formal. And we review that information just to kind of get people back in the mode of speaking Spanish. From there, I want to add new high-frequency vocabulary. I use days 2 through 5 of my course to pre-teach this vocabulary so that when we get to storytelling, this high-frequency stuff is under our belt. So here in days 2 through 5 in this high-frequency vocabulary, we want to teach words like I am. This is another version of I am in Spanish. Spanish has 2 versions, estoy, estás, está, and also soy, eres, es. But in other languages, it might just be one word. I have, you have, he has, she has, you have, formal. I want, you want, he, she wants, you want, formal. Those are high-frequency words that repeat themselves all quarter long. It makes no sense to delay this until chapter 4. I've seen the word quiere delayed until chapter 4 in textbooks. That makes no sense at all. That word is so high frequency that we want to incorporate it right away. And so we do this by orbiting questions about myself, about students, about maybe a fictional character that we talk about. Maybe I put up a picture of somebody on the board, some celebrity, and we orbit with questions, statements, and move us along recycling this high frequency vocabulary as much as we can in days 2 through 5. The other thing that I do is I use student-driven curriculum to help make this a piece of cake for me as the instructor. I could spend a lot of time making activities to do this, but I don't want to. My goal is to have the students drive the curriculum here, and so you can do this in several ways. With student-driven curriculums, learners take the lead. These are things like drawings, videos, maybe they write out some examples. Whatever the case, you want students to take the lead here. That takes a lot of the pressure off of you to create materials. You don't need a textbook with this. You can just have the students give you what to talk about. They'll let you know what they want to talk about in these beginning days of the class. Another powerful tool is a vignette. And a vignette is super easy. All you have to do is start with a simple sentence like, "There is a man." And with that sentence, you can come up with a vignette to bring the language to life. Like, we've got a guy here. You can describe this person. This person is tall. This person is skinny. This person has a big head. This person has a mustache. This person has big eyes. This person is not bald. This person drinks coffee. This person likes to read. This person likes fancy shoes. There are a number of things we can do to describe this person, to bring this person to life. And this is a really good way to practice for storytelling, because this kind of description I try to do in every story that I tell. We will describe the main character, and practicing this description is a powerful tool to prep your students for storytelling. When you get time to tell your first story, they'll have had high frequency vocabulary and they'll have had some experience describing a character. Now, this character doesn't do anything, this character doesn't go anywhere, but we have got the description under our belt. And so that's one more piece that makes the first story more comprehensible. And the first story is the most difficult story for true beginners because all of the vocabulary is new. So anything you can do to make the first story less of a shock to those true beginners, the better off you're going to be, because you'll have confidence that they have at least some experience, and the better off they're going to be because they will have had that experience already describing a character and perhaps even seeing a visual of it. Another piece in the pre-story phase is total physical response, TPR. And total physical response is really simple. All it is you present in this way vocabulary. Language 2 with a language 1 translation followed by a gesture. You present L2 with an L1 translation followed by a gesture. And our goal here is to associate meaning in L2 with the gesture. In the presentation phase, that's the first time you explain this vocabulary. You could do this at home in a video. If you've recorded a video ahead of time, you can have learners see this. But I like to do it in class because it doesn't take long and I never have to say any English out loud. It's written on the screen for them. And so I like to do that right away. The review phase removes L1 from the game. Now, we have an idea of what the word in L2 means. We have a gesture that also represents the meaning. We no longer need L1. L1 is now short-circuited from the game, and in learners' mind, they are going to equate L2 with this gesture. This is a powerful, powerful technique. I will tell you that when I was learning Spanish, I used lots of TPR, and I still remember 20-some years later these gestures. I have very vivid memories of where I was when I learned these words. So the fact that I remember this all these years later is a testament to how powerful a method this is for helping students recall L2 vocabulary with gestures. L2 to gesture is the way I like to review this, but when I go to assess, I like to go the other way. Gesture to L2. So I'll give a gesture and the student will respond in L2 with the word or phrase. And with that, we're ready to move on. We're ready to tell our very first story with learners. They have had some preparation beforehand. They've had some high frequency vocabulary that they're now familiar with. They've had a chance to describe a character or maybe 2 or 3 characters, and so that vocabulary is now familiar to them. And they've had some TPR, some total physical response vocabulary, that will help tie meaning to a gesture, which helps them with long-term recall of that vocabulary.